everyone, welcome back to InsightRx.
Today we have Aditi Gajavelly, who's a junior studying Biomedical Engineering, or BME, as a part of the joint BME program between UNC Chapel Hill and NC State. She is currently doing research at the Nguyen lab focusing on drug delivery techniques in cardiac medicine.
In her free time, she likes to dance and is part of UNC's Indian classical dance team. She's also on the executive board for Catch, a student-run nonprofit that engineers toys for children with motor disabilities.
Hi guys.
So first, we're going to start off by talking about your high school and things that led up to how you chose your career path in college. So firstly, what high school did you go to?
I went to Panther Creek High School.
What are some classes that changed or defined your perspective on your future path?
Yeah, so actually I took a lot of AP Science classes and I took AP Physics my senior year. And it was kind of just a class I took because I'd never taken physics before. But I liked it, which was very surprising for me. And even before that, I knew I wanted to do something STEM related. I just wasn't sure what. So when I took physics, and then when I liked it, I was like, maybe I could actually go into engineering as
Mm-hmm.
a career. So that's kind of what led to me choosing an engineering path. Yeah.
That's really inspiring. Did you have a passion project
In high school
or
like
anything like that?
Yeah, so in high school, I didn't really have a STEM passion project.
Mhm.
So UNC usually admits students not based on their major. So you just need to have something good, something that's like a passion project to count. It doesn't really need to be in the major that you're going into. So for me, I did something more arts related in high school. So I planned this art showcase with the town of Morrisville, and we basically got together a bunch of community figures, and we rented a hall, and we had music performances, dance performances, a visual art showcase, and it was supposed to be a multicultural fest. So I guess passion project wise, that's kind of something I initiated and started in high school. But again, that has nothing to do with BME. So it really depends on what schools you're aiming for, I would say.
Did you always want to go into BME from high school, or was it something you discovered later on in senior year?
So I think I discovered it a little late in high school. I think it was earlier than senior year, but it definitely wasn't a freshman year thing. I don't even think I realized that was a field I could go into freshman year. But I think around COVID time, so I was a sophomore or junior during COVID. So during that time, I really started looking into what career paths there were. And BME is cool because it combines medicine, but it's more translational. So you're actually looking at therapies that can be made into medicines rather than just studying the human body. So it's very interdimensional.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
that's kind of what drew me to it. Yeah.
Right. Wait, going back to your passion project,
hmm
is there any tips you could give to anyone that wants to start something like that?
Yeah, for sure. So I was lucky because I really think it all comes down to networking and who you know,
Mm-hmm.
because I was able to do this with one of my close friends, and I know we work well together, so it worked really well because we were able to lead this. And also, I got help from one of the parents in our community that was involved and knew a bunch of people that could connect to us. So, for example, we got sponsorships for food, we got a venue set up through connections, and everything was done because of networking and because we were able to meet all these people that were willing to help us. So I would just say go out there. I'm sure your parents know a bunch of people that would be willing to help. So
Mm-hmm.
use those connections. It's awkward at first, but it's at the end it's what makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. For during senior year, how did you go about writing your college essays?
Yeah, so senior year, I think I started the summer before senior year. So I got my personal application done, or your main essay done before junior year. And so before senior year. So once senior year started, I could just focus on supplementals and polishing things up. So I think for me, my college essay topic was on storytelling and how it's important not only in the arts, but also in the STEM field, and how it's important to be able to communicate to others. And
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of tied in a bunch of the extracurriculars I did and how it's important to be a well-rounded person, even if you're going into STEM or even if you have more of those applications in your life that aren't considered artistic. I think it's still important to be a good storyteller. So that was what my essay was on. And so I think I went through like 5 or 6 drafts. So I would say just like the most important thing is like writing something first, and you can always come back and edit it later.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of people get stuck on like trying to make it really good the first time, and
Mm-hmm.
then you just end up not doing anything for a long time and
Yeah.
procrastinating it. And so I think it's important just to get something down, even if it's bad at first, so you can have a starting point.
Okay, switching gears. For ACT and SAT, was it like difficult for you to study? Like, do you have any recommendations for books,
Do you have like
websites,
tips?
anything?
Yeah.
So when I took the SAT, it was a lot different than it is now.
Yeah.
We didn't have the online portion, and also our like ELA like reading section was really different
Mm-hmm.
because my brother is taking it right now, and so I was looking over his things and like comparing it to mine. And honestly, I do think it's harder now. So what I have to
Oh,
say,
no.
what I have to say might not be super helpful, but I primarily use like Khan Academy to study because it
Mm-hmm.
gives you good breakdowns on like what sections you're doing good on and what sections you're not doing so great on.
Hmm.
And that allows you to like really practice those specific sections. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's still true. Like Khan Academy does still do that, but I think in the ELA section or like the reading section right now, there's more of a shift to like scientific writing and like more professional writing. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't get like these huge like passages and like random texts anymore. It's very like targeted informational texts. So I think if you're struggling with that, I would just say like read more research papers, read journal articles, read stuff that you don't understand, so you can eventually grow those skills needed to analyze those passages. Because I think that's the hardest part. You don't really get that in classes in high school. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Staying on like the same track, like
Hmm.
about AP classes, how many do you typically take? How much is like weighted? Like, and also like in general for like colleges, do they like look at SATs? Do they like how much like what's the weighing for it?
Yeah, so I think after COVID, I don't think standardized tests are as heavily weighted. Because during
Mm-hmm.
COVID, I'm not sure if you guys know, but they were optional during COVID. So
Mhm.
you didn't even need to submit them. And then so after COVID ended, um, they kind of shifted back to allowing those tests, but they're still in some cases optional and they're not weighted nearly as heavily. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say it's more important to have a good GPA and to show like academic rigor through your classes rather than through test scores. Obviously, it's good to have test scores, but if you had to choose one to like pour more time into, I would say classes are more important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's kind of talk about college life. So, firstly, what college are you in and why did you decide to choose it?
Yeah, so I am in UNC Chapel Hill. So I kind of knew going in that I wanted to stay in state. I
Hmm.
do want to do grad school at some point, and I think grad school is a better opportunity to like branch out and go to new places
Mm-hmm.
and bigger places. So I know I wanted to stay in state just for tuition costs and stuff. So I applied to NC State, UNC, I applied to Duke and like Charlotte as like a safety, I guess.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into state, I got into UNC, I got waitlisted from Duke.
Oh,
I and then I got into Charlotte as a safety. So I chose Chapel Hill over NC State. And I think that's a controversial decision because I am doing engineering,
Mm-hmm.
and you would expect state is like technically an engineering school.
Mm-hmm.
hmm.
But specifically biomedical engineering, it's a dual program between NC State and Chapel Hill, which means I get a degree from both universities and I can take classes at both universities. So going in, I knew I wanted to do more bio stuff in biomedical engineering, and UNC is better at that. They have more labs, they have better professors. So that's kind of why I chose UNC Chapel Hill over state for BME. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does like a typical day look like for you at UNC Chapel Hill?
I think I think it's just all over the place. I really don't have a good answer for that. Like, I was just working on my schedule before I got on here.
Mm-hmm.
So this semester I'm not taking a lot of classes. Like last semester I was taking a lot of classes, but this semester I'm taking less classes and also classes in college. They're not in a row, right? So you have like class from like 9 to 10 and then you might have class again from 5 to 6. So all that period in between you're doing a bunch of other stuff. So I'd say this semester my schedule, there's less classes, but I am going into my research lab more.
Mhm.
I'm focusing a bit more on like internship applications and stuff. So it's looking a little different, but yeah, I'm really not in my dorm too much, so this is a rare occurrence.
Is it like, are the classes different from high school? Well, I know there's like lectures now, but like,
hmm
is it the same
Like
level
how,
as taking AP
yeah,
classes?
how
Mm.
different are they?
So I feel like in college, they're definitely less interactive. So I feel like in high school, they make an effort at least to ask more questions. You do group activities, you get like worksheets or like things like that. In college, I feel like lecture is just lecture. You go to lecture, you sit down, and you watch people talk at you for 50
Yeah.
minutes. And there are some really great professors that try to break out of this. So I've had professors that, allow us to do group work. They like say, pair up, let's do this problem together. But even that is really limited because you're in these like auditorium style halls. It's not like tables where you can interact with people. So you're just like turning around, you're talking to the person next to you. Your desk space is like this small. And it's like lecture is just for getting that information. But labs in college are very different. I don't think I've never experienced labs like that in high school before, where it's just straight up lab work and it's all hands on for like 3 hours. So that's definitely one of the biggest differences. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like keeping like going on the same track as labs.
hmm
Like what is the UN lab?
hmm
You mentioned it earlier, and how does it propel your career in BME?
Yeah, so the Nguyen Lab is a lab in the Eshelman School of Pharmacy. So it's not technically like an engineering lab, but a lot of the people in the lab, they are engineering people or they've had engineering degrees or they're pursuing an engineering degree of some sort. So the
Hmm.
Nguyen Lab focuses on translational research. So there's like two main groups, I guess, of research. There's like basic research and translational. So basic is more just understanding and discovering the science itself. So coming up with these theories and like describing things in the world the way they are, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And translational research is using these descriptions and using this knowledge we already have to make products or to make medicine that can actually be applied in everyday life. So the Nguyen Lab is a translational research lab, which means we use all these techniques that have already been found to make new medicine. So right now I'm working on a cardiac therapy. So it's like something that you would use after a heart attack. So after a
Hmm.
heart attack, your heart function declines a lot
Hmm.
because you have a lot of scar tissue. Because a heart attack basically kills a bunch of your healthy tissue, and you're left with all this like scar tissue, which makes it hard for your heart to pump. So even after you recover from a heart attack, you have a heart that's not pumping to its full capacity. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to develop a therapeutic that is able to restore some of that healthy tissue to your heart. So after a heart attack, you have a better chance of living longer. So,
Oh, that's
yeah,
so cool.
short synopsis. Yeah,
Wait,
so good. Yeah.
you talked about cardiac therapy. How did you figure out about it? And if someone else was interested in it, what would you like say to them if they wanted
Yeah,
to get into it?
yeah. So I think for me, before I didn't do any research in high school. I think it's becoming more popular now to do research projects in high school.
Hmm.
But to be honest, like a lot of people didn't do that when I was applying, and I didn't do that either. So research, like I really started in college.
Hmm.
And so it felt really intimidating for me because it's like you go to these meetings and you listen to people talk and they're saying all this stuff you don't understand and you're like I don't understand what they're saying. How do I actually come up with new thoughts when I don't understand what they're saying? But
Yeah.
I think for me it was really finding a good mentor. So when decided I wanted to join a lab, there's a bunch of lab websites online that anyone can access. So if you search up like UNC labs or UNC like pharmaceutical labs, UNC engineering labs, you'll find a bunch of lab websites and they'll have descriptions of the projects. And so from there, you can read papers. I would say the main thing, if you really want to get a head start in like high school or like start your own thing or like research project or anything, is to read papers. Because I think that's a big learning curve. Reading research papers is like very different from any kind of reading. So
Hmm.
I would say read papers about something you're interested in. And especially in high school, I think there's a lot more research programs. So in college, I think research is more informal because you talk to the PI and you're like, I just want to help out. And then you get taken on as a volunteer and then you can slowly move up and like you can get paid for it. But in college, I think research is more done in a program-based level where you join a program or you get into a research program and then they walk you through it. So I would say that's a great starting place in high school, and also just reading papers would be amazing. That would definitely get you a head start. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So staying on the same track as like research projects, what is catch and how does it further strengthen or modify your decision in your career plan?
Yeah, so I think you also asked the same question for research, so I'll just like give you how research would affect my career plan. So, as of right now, after I graduate, I do want to work a few years in like a pharmaceutical company
Mhm.
doing research and design. And after that, I do want to go back to grad school and get my PhD because I think in
Ooh.
a lot of research fields, you do need a PhD to like be conducting your own studies. So that's something I want to do, but you don't get paid a lot for your PhD, so I do want to have some money before I start that, which is why I want to go into industry and work. So research just helps you get those jobs, I guess.
Mhm.
And for Catch, so Catch is a student-led nonprofit, and we modify the internal circuitry of different mainstream toys to make them more accessible for kids with motor disabilities. So
Mhm.
for example, you have like a just basic fire truck, right? And you'd have an on switch at the bottom and it just starts moving around. So a lot of these kids, they can't access the tiny on switch on the bottom of the toy. Like their hands can't physically like turn it on,
Mhm.
and that makes them give up a lot of autonomy. So kids, it's all about autonomy. It's all about being able to do things yourself, and when they can't do that, it's really disheartening for them. So in a lot of hospital settings and therapy settings, they have these things called adapted toys, where instead of connecting to the switch, the toy connects to this big button on the outside. And when they press the button, the toy moves. And this button is very large and it's very accessible for the kids, so they can do it without trying very hard. And the problem is these toys cost like $200, $300, and it's very
God.
hard. Yeah, it's very hard. It's hard to get access to them. So what we do is we modify the toys ourselves and then we donate them to hospitals. And
Mhm.
we also recently started printing our own, 3D printing our own like buttons. So everything we do,
Yeah.
it's very low cost. Everything gets done under like $30 per toy.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's kind of a little
It's
about
like
Catch.
it
Yeah.
seems so like good.
And it's like very helpful
Yeah.
too.
It's so like wholesome.
Yeah, it's very fulfilling. I personally, I work more with like the hospital side of things. So I like talk to the hospitals, I figure out what their needs are, and I figure out what kind of toys they want, what they need to see more of. And so it's really fulfilling to be able to see that the things we're doing actually make a tangible difference and to like talk to parents of these kids and them like being like, yeah, they love this. Like this is really cool.
Yeah.
So it's definitely very fulfilling.
What would you recommend to students that don't know if they're sure that they want to go into BME, that are still exploring?
hmm I would say really look into the kind of careers you can get from BME
Mhm.
because the reason I went into BME was because I didn't have a certain career path like thought of before going in, if that makes sense. I
Mhm.
think a lot of people, like for example, if you're going to med school, it's very like you go through undergrad, you take like a very bio-centered major, and then you go to med school. And I think it's
Mhm.
more of a clear path. But when you're doing something like job hunting or industry, searching for jobs, there's so many different kinds of jobs. There's so many different kinds of careers. And honestly, BME opens up a lot of that because it's such an interdisciplinary field and there's so many different things you can do with it. So if you're someone that wants to do a lot of things, wants to do a lot of interdisciplinary things, and isn't just interested in like one or two things, then I would say BME is a good choice for you.
Mhm.
If you're someone that's more focused on, say, like the electrical aspect of engineering, you like how like you like circuitry or you like building these things, then I would say it's more worth it to go into electrical engineering than BME. Because at the end of the day, if you wanted to do medical devices things, you could get a degree in electrical engineering and still transition to the BME industry.
Mhm.
But it really depends on your personal interest. So if you have like specific personal interest but still want to do BME things, I would pursue that personal interest and then tie it back to BME later in your career. Because that's a thing a lot of people do. A lot of my professors weren't BME majors. They were like electrical engineering majors, mechanical engineering majors.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
For anyone listening, how do you like manage stress with your workload?
So I think it's really important to I guess be well-rounded. So
Yeah.
if you're taking a lot of STEM stuff, if you're doing a lot of research, just make sure that's not all you're doing. Because
Mhm.
I'm not going to be the one to be like, no, take a break, do less. Because I feel like it's good to take a break and to do less sometimes, but in reality, it's really hard to enforce that. You're always wanting to do more. You always, because you
Yeah.
see all these people around you and you're like, I need to be doing more. But I
Mhm.
think it's good to balance that out with other things that are less high stakes. So, for example, I'm on my university's Indian classical dance team. So we practice like 3 times a week. And unless you're on exec, that's really all you're doing. So you're practicing for like 6 hours a week, but it's a good form of stress relief. It's a good way to meet new people, to just talk about things that aren't like academic related.
Mhm.
So I would just say do something else, find a hobby, just make time for it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
On an ending note, what are some goals that you have for yourself, either personally or academically?
Yeah, so I think this year, my main thing is I want to network more. So I talked about this earlier with like the personal project thing, but it's even more important when you're trying to find a job or
Mhm.
like an internship or anything. So my goal is to be very LinkedIn ready,
Hmm.
to reach out to people and to, find out what I can really do in industry with the skill set that I have. So
Hmm.
that's a personal goal I have for like, I guess this year. And also, I started a personal project within my research project, so I guess working on that and applying for funding next year, because research operates through funding, so you don't really get paid until you can get funds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something also that I'll be working on. But
Mhm.
yeah, those are two goals, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it was really fun having you on our podcast. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to record with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.